It seems like AI is everywhere these days, especially with Elon Musk launching Grok. And, our listeners are really interested in AI, so we're going to take a deep dive into Grok today.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to watch because we've seen kind of a surge in these AI chatbots.
Right.
But Grok really stands out, I think. And part of that is because it's integrated into X, formerly Twitter.
Right.
And it was developed by XAI, which is Elon Musk's AI company.
Yeah.
And so you have this really interesting connection there to X that gives Grok access to this massive amount of real-time data, which is really, I think, a game changer when it comes to AI.
Yeah, that real-time element is something I really wanted to ask you about because it comes up constantly in the sources.
Right.
It's not like other AI models that get updated every few months or whatever.
Right.
Grok is learning from what's happening on X right this second.
Yeah.
So can you unpack that a little for us?
Sure.
What does that actually mean for someone using Grok?
It's almost like you're having a conversation with the internet itself. Wow. But it's filtered through this incredibly intelligent AI.
Okay.
Imagine you're trying to learn about a breaking news story.
Yeah.
But the AI you're talking to hasn't updated its knowledge in weeks.
Oh, wow.
You would be hopelessly behind. Grok is right there with you. It's learning and evolving in real time.
Okay, so it's not just pulling from some static database.
Right.
It's constantly learning as things are happening.
Exactly. Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
I think that's what throws people off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's not what we're used to with AI.
Exactly. It's very different. And it goes beyond just text too.
Okay.
Think about all those research papers and articles that you have to read.
Yeah.
Grok can actually analyze PDFs and pull out the key findings.
Right.
Imagine having an AI that can summarize complex research in seconds.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, it could save you hours of work.
So instead of just spitting out information like a typical search engine,
Right.
it actually understands the content.
Yeah. I think a good way to think about it is that a traditional search engine gives you a bunch of links based on your keywords.
Yeah.
It doesn't really understand what you're looking for.
Right.
Grok, with its deep search feature, actually dives into the content, analyzes it, and tries to understand the nuances of your request.
Okay.
It's about getting to the heart of what you actually need.
So what about this big brain mode?
Yeah.
It sounds a little intimidating.
It does sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah.
But think about it this way. Let's say you're planning a trip with multiple stops, different flights, maybe some budget constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Grok, in big brain mode, could analyze all those variables and create the most efficient and enjoyable itinerary for you.
Wow.
It's about tackling those complex problems that require logic and reasoning.
So it's taking things to a whole other level then.
Yeah, definitely.
And from what I'm reading in the sources, it's not just about Grok being super intelligent.
Right.
It's also about its personality. People are describing it as witty, sarcastic, even funny.
Yeah, that's not something you usually associate with AI. No, and I think that's part of what makes it so interesting. Most AI models that we've encountered, they're really focused on being helpful and informative.
Right.
Grok, however, is designed to be engaging and entertaining.
Okay.
It can adapt its communication style to match yours.
Interesting.
So if you're asking it a technical question,
Mm-hmm.
it can give you a very formal, detailed response.
Okay.
But if you're just chatting casually,
Yeah.
it can be just as laid back and funny as any friend you'd have online.
So it's not like talking to a robot.
Right.
It's more like having a conversation with a really smart
Yeah.
and interesting person
Mm-hmm.
who just happens to have access to all the information on the internet.
Precisely. And I think that's what makes Grok so unique.
Yeah.
It's blending this incredible intelligence with a personality that's engaging and even a bit mischievous.
Mm.
It's pushing the boundaries of what we expect from AI.
Okay, so we've talked about the real-time learning, the deep search, the big brain mode,
Right.
the personality.
Yeah.
But how does all of this actually play out in the real world?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What are some concrete ways someone might use Grok?
Well, let's say you're a journalist
Okay.
working on a story with a tight deadline.
Mm-hmm.
You could ask Grok to find relevant information, summarize key points from articles and research papers, even fact-check your work in real time.
Wow.
It's like having a super-powered research assistant right in your pocket.
Okay, so for someone who maybe isn't a journalist,
Yeah,
someone just kind of scrolling through X,
right.
how could they use Grok?
Well, even for casual use, I think Grok can really enhance your experience on the platform.
Okay.
Imagine being able to instantly get context on a trending topic or dive deeper into a news story that catches your eye.
Right.
It could help you cut through all the noise and get to the heart of what matters.
So it's about making information more accessible.
Yeah.
And helping people understand the world around them. But it's also about having fun
Right.
and engaging with AI that feels almost human.
Exactly. And that's what makes Grok so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just a tool, it's a companion.
Yeah.
It's a guide and a source of endless information and entertainment. It's really a glimpse into the future of how we'll interact with AI.
It sounds like it's changing the game when it comes to AI.
Yeah,
It's not just about functionality.
right.
It's about creating an experience that's engaging, personalized, and even a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah, it's definitely pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible, and that's what makes it so exciting. You know, it's forcing us to rethink our relationship with technology and the role that AI will play in our lives.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Grok.
We have.
We've talked about its real-time learning, its powerful features like deep search and big brain mode, and its surprisingly engaging personality.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but we've only just scratched the surface.
I know there's so much more to talk about.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore the implications of Grok's unique approach
Okay.
and how it stacks up against other AI models out there.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's do it.
Stay tuned, everybody. We're back and ready to kind of dive even deeper into the world of Grok.
Let's do it.
One thing that really struck me going through these sources is how Grok seems to be really designed for speed.
Yeah.
We've talked about how it pulls from live data,
Right?
but the sources also mention just how quickly it processes information
Yeah.
and generates responses, even compared to some other leading AI models.
Yeah, that speed is really essential when you're dealing with just the constant flow of information on a platform like X.
Right.
You know, Grok has to be able to keep up with the trends,
Yeah.
the breaking news, the conversations that are happening in real time. It's almost like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yeah.
But Grok just seems to handle it effortlessly.
And not only is it fast, but it also remembers what you've talked about.
Right.
It can keep track of the details,
Uh-huh.
the nuances, even the tone of the conversation.
Yeah.
Some other AI models, I feel like they forget what you said 2 sentences ago.
Yeah, context retention is crucial for any meaningful conversation.
Right.
Especially if you're dealing with complex topics or trying to solve problems.
It's like the difference between talking to someone who's actually listening and someone who's just waiting for their turn to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, and that ability to retain context makes Grok a much more effective tool, I think, for learning research and even like creative brainstorming.
Yeah.
You know, it can build upon previous ideas, make connections, and follow a train of thought in a way that many other AI just really struggle with.
This seamless integration with X also gives it a huge advantage over the competition, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Being plugged into one of the largest social media platforms in the world,
Right.
having access to all that real-time data.
It's like having a direct line to the pulse of the internet.
Wow.
You know, Grok can tap into trending topics, analyze the sentiment around breaking news, even understand the nuances of online communities and subcultures.
That's fascinating.
It's an incredible resource for anyone who wants to stay informed or understand how information spreads.
Grok is faster, more efficient,
Right.
and plugged into this massive network of real-time data.
Yeah.
But something else the sources highlight is that Grok seems to have a less filtered approach. Compared to other AI models, some have even called it the Wild West of AI.
It's a key differentiator, for sure. And I think it speaks to this broader debate about AI freedom and content moderation. You know, on the one hand, you want to prevent AI from being used to spread misinformation or harmful content.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you restrict it too much,
Yeah.
you might stifle its creativity and its ability to engage in open dialogue.
It's a tough balance to strike,
It is.
especially when you consider that Grok is learning from the vast
Right.
and often unfiltered world of X.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great information on there, but there's also a lot of noise misinformation
Yeah.
and potentially harmful content.
It's a valid concern, but it's also an opportunity
Okay,
to explore how we can develop AI that's both powerful and responsible.
right.
Can we teach AI to discern between fact and fiction, to identify bias, to filter out harmful content without stifling its ability to learn and evolve?
Wow.
That's the challenge and the opportunity I think that Grok presents.
It seems like that less filtered approach, while potentially risky,
Yeah.
is also what makes Grok so appealing to some users.
Right.
It's like they're drawn to its uncensored nature, its willingness to push the boundaries of what's considered acceptable in AI communication.
Yeah, I think that's part of what makes Grok so fascinating. It's not just a tool.
Right.
It's a reflection of our own anxieties and aspirations about AI.
Yeah.
We're both excited and terrified by the possibilities.
Right.
And Grok really embodies that tension in a very real way.
It's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the social and cultural impact it has.
Exactly. Grok is a mirror reflecting back our hopes and fears about the future of AI.
We've been talking a lot about the technology
Yeah.
and the implications of Grok's unique approach, but we can't ignore the Elon Musk factor. He's a polarizing figure,
He is.
but there's no denying that he has a huge influence on the tech world.
Oh, absolutely. His backing definitely lends credibility and generates buzz.
Right.
People are naturally curious about what he's building
Yeah.
and how it might disrupt existing industries.
And let's not forget that Grok is readily available.
Right.
It's not some experimental project locked away in a lab.
Right.
They've made it accessible to X's Premium Plus users and enterprise clients.
That's right.
So it's already reaching a massive audience.
Yeah, that accessibility is crucial.
Yeah.
By putting Grok directly into the hands of users, they're accelerating its development. They're gathering valuable feedback and essentially crowdsourcing its evolution.
Yeah.
It's a bold move that could pay off in a big way.
It definitely feels like Grok is poised to have a significant impact on the AI landscape.
I think so.
It's fast, it's connected, it's pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
and it's backed by one of the most influential figures in tech. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what all of this means for the future of AI.
Well, I think Grok is a signal that the AI landscape is shifting.
Okay.
We're moving beyond just, simple tasks
Yeah.
and into the realm of complex interactions, nuanced understanding,
Right.
and even a bit of personality. And that's just the beginning.
So what's next? Where do you see this technology going in the next 5-10 years?
It's difficult to predict with certainty,
Of course.
but I think we can expect to see AI becoming even more integrated into our lives,
Okay.
our work, and our social interactions.
I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me too.
Why don't we take a moment to recap what we've learned about Grok so far?
Oh, okay.
And then we'll dive into some even bigger questions in the final part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
We've talked about Grok's speed and its personality, its ability to analyze complex information, and its real-time connection to X.
Right.
But I think one of the big questions we need to address is, what are the long-term implications of all this?
Yeah. That's the question that I think keeps a lot of people up at night. Grok is more than just another cool AI tool.
Right.
It represents a pretty fundamental shift, I think, in how we interact with information. And that's bound to have ripple effects across society.
One thing that keeps coming up in these sources is this concern about AI bias.
Yeah.
We've already talked about how Grok learns from the data it's exposed to.
Right.
And X, let's be honest, can be a bit of a wild place.
It can be. Yeah.
How do we ensure then that Grok doesn't inherit the biases,
Yeah.
the misinformation,
Right.
the negativity that can sometimes dominate online spaces?
It's a huge challenge, and I don't think there's an easy answer.
Yeah.
It's not just about filtering out bad data.
Right.
It's about teaching AI to critically evaluate information,
Oh.
to recognize different perspectives, to understand the nuances of human communication. We're essentially trying to instill human values in a machine, and that's a tall order.
It makes you wonder, does Grok represent a step towards a future where AI helps us overcome our limitations, or does it amplify them?
I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
It all depends on how we develop, deploy, and regulate this technology.
Okay.
If we're thoughtful and responsible,
Yeah.
AI, like Grok, could help us break out of our echo chambers, expose us to different viewpoints, and make more informed decisions. But if we're not careful,
Yeah.
it could just as easily reinforce our existing biases
Right.
and deepen the divides that already exist.
But it's not a question of technology.
Right.
It's a question of how we use it.
Exactly. AI is a tool.
Yeah.
And any tool, it can be used for good or ill.
Right.
The responsibility lies with us, the developers, the users, society as a whole, to guide its development and ensure that it aligns with our values.
Listening to you talk about all this,
Yeah.
it strikes me that Grok isn't just a technological innovation.
Yeah,
It's a social experiment.
it is.
We're essentially releasing this powerful AI into the wild
Right?
and seeing how it interacts with humanity.
That's a great way to put it. And the outcome of that experiment is far from certain.
Right.
It's exciting. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something worth paying attention to.
I keep thinking back to what you said earlier about Grok being a mirror.
Yeah.
Reflecting our hopes and fears about AI.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think this says about us? About our relationship with technology?
I think it shows that we're both fascinated and terrified by the potential of AI. We see the possibilities for good, for progress, for solving complex problems.
Right.
But we also see the potential for harm, for unintended consequences, for losing control.
We're at a crossroads.
We are.
And the decisions we make now will shape the future of AI
Yeah.
and perhaps even the future of humanity.
There's no overstating the importance of these decisions. We're writing the rules of engagement for a new era.
Yeah.
And those rules will have profound implications for generations to come.
So what's the takeaway for someone listening to this deep dive? What should they be thinking about as they continue to explore the world of Grok and AI in general?
I'd say the most important thing is to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay critical.
Okay.
Don't just accept the hype or the fear-mongering.
Right?
Do your own research, ask tough questions, and be part of the conversation about how we shape the future of AI.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it's not just about the technology, it's about us.
That's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
It's not about letting the technology control us. It's about using it to create a better future for everyone.
Exactly. The power is in our hands.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Grok.
We have.
We've explored its unique capabilities, its potential benefits and risks,
Right.
and the broader questions it raises about the future of AI and humanity.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
Yes.
The world of AI is constantly evolving, and it's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
Until next time, happy exploring.